In television's golden era, one young performer won America's heart with a combination of raw talent and emotional depth that seemed beyond her years. She became a star before adulthood, earned Emmy recognition early, and appeared destined for endless success. Millions watched her grow up on their screens, celebrating every milestone and feeling every struggle alongside her characters. Then, at the peak of her fame, she walked away entirely. For over 30 years, fans wondered why someone so successful would simply disappear. Her story reveals bravery, struggle, and ultimately healing, a journey that speaks to anyone who's felt expectations become too heavy to carry. Born in September 1962 in Los Angeles, Kristy grew up far removed from Hollywood's glitz despite living nearby. Her parents divorced early, leaving her mother Carolyn to support the family alone in an expensive city. Carolyn worked secretarial jobs while taking on side gigs, including occasional film extra work, not chasing dreams but pursuing practical survival. Money stayed tight, and every dollar mattered in their small household. During one set visit when childcare fell through, Kristy and her brother Jimmy tagged along with their mother. A crew member noticed them and suggested they try commercial work. What started as casual advice became life-changing. Both kids began auditioning, landing spots for toothpaste, cereal, and toys. The money, modest by industry standards, made a real difference for a struggling single mother trying to keep her family afloat. Jimmy showed natural camera ease, charming directors with his relaxed personality and good looks. But Kristy displayed something truly exceptional that set her apart from other young performers. Even at a young age, she conveyed emotion with unusual depth and authenticity. She didn't just recite lines, she inhabited them, bringing real interior life to even minor roles. Industry veterans who'd seen thousands of child actors recognized something rare in this girl, an ability to project both innocence and wisdom simultaneously, as if she'd lived multiple lives already. Television guest spots followed throughout the mid-1970s on hit shows like Apple's Way, Starsky and Hutch, and The Bionic Woman. She made lasting impressions despite brief appearances. Casting directors began remembering her name and requesting her specifically for roles that required genuine talent. Then 1976 brought her defining breakthrough, ABC's drama series Family, where she'd play Letitia Buddy Lawrence, a role that would transform her from working child actor to genuine star. At just 13, Kristy's work on Family exceeded all expectations and announced the arrival of exceptional talent. Her character wasn't simplified or stereotypical. Buddy dealt with real adolescent complexity that reflected actual teenage struggles. The show tackled serious themes rarely seen on TV then: broken families, identity issues, the painful challenges of growing up. Kristy's honest portrayal resonated powerfully with audiences seeing their own lives reflected on screen. Emmy recognition came fast and repeatedly. Nominations 3 straight years, with wins in 1977 and 1979. 2 Emmys before turning 18, an unprecedented achievement, making her the youngest actress to accomplish this feat at the time. Media called her America's favorite little sister, the girl everyone wanted living next door. Her face covered countless magazines. Teen girls copied her style and admired her authenticity. Teen boys developed innocent crushes. Parents approved of her wholesome yet relatable image. Behind the success lay hidden complexity few understood. Carolyn managed Kristy's career while depending financially on her daughter's income, creating an unhealthy dynamic. Reflecting later with hard-won perspective, Kristy acknowledged feeling like the adult while her mother seemed childlike by comparison. Such role reversals carry lasting psychological impact. While peers worried about dates and college applications, Kristy balanced professional demands with family finances, carrying burdens no child should bear. Her schedule was brutal and unrelenting. Mornings meant on-set education with tutors, afternoons filled with filming takes and retakes, evenings consumed by promotional appearances, interviews where she revealed nothing real, photo shoots lasting hours, ceremonies where she accepted awards while feeling empty inside. Everyone wanted her time and energy, and she gave it freely. She complied because it seemed expected, what dedicated professionals did. They worked endlessly without complaint, maintaining the illusion of effortless success that audiences believed. When Family ended in 1980 after 5 successful seasons, 18-year-old Kristy felt completely depleted. But Hollywood's machinery doesn't pause for exhaustion or honor human limitations. Success generates more opportunities, demanding more energy, more commitment, more of yourself. The industry expected her to continue forward, and she did, because stopping felt impossible. The year Family ended, Kristy starred in Little Darlings opposite Tatum O'Neal, in what became a defining film of that era. This coming-of-age film followed 2 camp girls from different worlds making provocative bets about losing their virginity. Kristy played Angel Bright, a street-smart girl projecting toughness while hiding deep vulnerability and insecurity. Critics praised her natural performance and emotional honesty. The film became culturally significant, sparking conversations and becoming required viewing for a generation. It elevated her from TV star to serious film actress with real credibility. Projects multiplied at a dizzying pace. That year also brought The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia with Dennis Quaid and Mark Hamill, a Southern drama where she held her own against established actors. She earned among the top teenage actress salaries of that era, numbers that made headlines. In 1981, Neil Simon's Only When I Laugh cast her as the daughter of a recovering alcoholic, opposite the formidable Marsha Mason. A Golden Globe nomination and enthusiastic critical praise followed, cementing her reputation as an actress of genuine substance. Outwardly, everything looked perfect and enviable. Trade publications called her Hollywood's most bankable young talent, the safest bet for box office success. Studios competed for her involvement. Scripts arrived daily by the dozens. Her agents fielded constant calls, but internally something was fracturing, small cracks spreading through her foundation. She later admitted with painful honesty her difficulty refusing requests, from directors wanting one more take, producers pushing one more project, or her mother needing the continued income. Hollywood's philosophy operates simply: capitalize on momentum while it exists. Kristy's momentum blazed intensely, so affirmative responses kept coming automatically. Films, publicity tours, promotional appearances, magazine covers. Before finishing one project, the next location already awaited with tickets booked and hotel rooms reserved. Exhaustion built relentlessly like debt with compound interest. Marathon workdays stretching 16 hours, constant travel across time zones, hotel living where every room looked the same, zero normal teenage life or breathing room. Her old friends attended football games and hung out casually at malls, living the teenage lives shown in movies. She worked alongside hardened adults, expected to maintain professional polish continuously, never allowed to simply be young and uncertain. 1982's The Pirate Movie, a musical comedy attempting to modernize Gilbert and Sullivan, received harsh critical reception and brutal reviews. She faced a Golden Raspberry nomination for Worst Actress, bitter contrast to recent celebrations as Hollywood's brightest emerging talent. The issue wasn't performance quality or lack of effort, but Kristy's complete physical and emotional depletion showing through on screen. You can't fake energy you simply don't possess anymore. By 1984, her deterioration was undeniable to everyone around her. Just the Way You Are, a romantic drama filmed in the French Alps during winter, cast her as a musician with disabilities, learning self-acceptance, and discovering love. The thematic irony was striking and almost cruel. Kristy herself was crumbling while few knew how to help, everyone hoping someone else would address the obvious problem. During French production in isolated mountain locations, severe panic attacks began without warning. Racing heart that made her think she was dying, insomnia lasting days, night sweats that soaked through sheets, breathing difficulties that left her gasping and terrified. Rapid weight loss made clothes hang loosely on her shrinking frame. Friends and crew watched her appear increasingly hollow and ghost-like, gradually fading from the inside out, the light in her eyes dimming daily. When she begged desperately for help, her team encouraged perseverance with empty platitudes. "We'll manage," they assured her with confidence they hadn't earned. "Just push through." But management wasn't happening. She was drowning in plain sight while people watched and did nothing, each assuming someone else would throw her a lifeline. Back in Los Angeles, doctors diagnosed severe exhaustion, crippling anxiety, and profound emotional trauma accumulated over years. For someone who'd been everyone's reliable rock throughout adolescence, the strong one everyone leaned on, this diagnosis felt like personal failure and public humiliation. Studios attempted damage control, attributing everything to chemical imbalances beyond anyone's control, making it seem medical rather than environmental. Tabloids proved predictably unkind, portraying her as another tragic child star collapsing under pressure, fitting neatly into a familiar narrative. Years later, reflecting with hard-won wisdom, Kristy noted that addiction recovery might have been easier than her prolonged battle with mental illness. At least addiction has clear treatment paths and some public sympathy. She eventually finished Just the Way You Are, summoning reserves she didn't know she possessed, but audiences witnessed genuine suffering projected on screen. The vulnerability shown wasn't masterful performance, it was unfiltered reality leaking through. Half-hearted attempts at continuing followed. Appearances in Dream Lover, You Can't Hurry Love, and The Forgotten One occurred, going through motions. But passion had evaporated completely, replaced by obligation and fear. Hollywood had moved on to the next fresh face, and honestly, so had she. The industry that built her fame had nearly destroyed her soul in the process, taking everything and offering little in return. Later diagnosis of bipolar disorder explained so much that had seemed inexplicable before. Performances' intense highs where she felt invincible followed inevitably by crushing lows where she couldn't get out of bed. Sleeplessness stretching for days, mood fluctuations that felt like being on a runaway roller coaster, inexplicable profound sadness that descended like fog. Years spent functioning with undiagnosed mental illness under constant public scrutiny. Cameras always watching, judgment always waiting. Through everything, brother Jimmy remained steadfast and loyal. They'd started this journey together as kids auditioning for cereal commercials, and when Kristy's world shattered completely, Jimmy was there without hesitation. He moved into her home, handled daily necessities she couldn't manage, cooked meals she couldn't eat, and helped navigate her darkest period with patience and love. She wasn't just my sister, Jimmy later reflected emotionally. She was my kid, my best friend, my responsibility. 1988 brought NBC's offer of something desperately needed: stability and structure. Empty Nest, a Golden Girls spin-off featuring established stars, would feature her as police officer Barbara Weston living with her widowed father and quirky sisters. It wasn't heavy dramatic material like Family that had made her famous, but provided belonging and community. The cast offered genuine support rather than competition. The atmosphere stayed light and collaborative, and finally Kristy experienced laughter replacing constant pressure and criticism. Fans rejoiced at her television return after years away. Empty Nest succeeded immediately, airing Saturday nights alongside the Golden Girls in NBC's powerhouse lineup. Viewers embraced her warmly again, like welcoming home a family member who'd been away too long. The show's warmth and humor seemed to reflect Kristy's own healing. But internally, struggles continued relentlessly. The same emotional turbulence that nearly destroyed her in the 1980s kept returning in waves. Some days brought insomnia where sleep felt impossible. Others brought uncontrollable tears she couldn't explain. She'd arrive on set smiling and joking, then collapse privately in her trailer afterward, the mask finally dropping. In 1992, during season 5, when the show remained popular, came a shocking decision that stunned cast and network. She departed suddenly. No dramatic exit storyline, no farewell press conference, just quiet exit and empty chair at table reads. Her publicist issued a brief health-related statement that revealed nothing specific, but complete truth wouldn't emerge for nearly a decade, protected by privacy she'd rarely enjoyed. 2001 brought Kristy's revelation about battling manic depression, now called bipolar disorder in updated medical terminology. "I didn't want to discuss it then," she explained in carefully chosen words. "It was extremely private and painful. But now, I want people knowing the truth so maybe it helps someone." Her voice carried conviction born from suffering. Her candor proved revolutionary and courageous. In 2001, mental illness remained heavily stigmatized, especially in Hollywood where perfection was currency. Admitting bipolar disorder could end careers permanently, making you unhireable and uninsurable. But Kristy prioritized helping others struggling similarly understand they weren't alone over image protection or career resurrection she didn't want anyway. She returned briefly for Empty Nest's 1995 finale, providing closure fans deserved and saying proper goodbye. Afterward, only voice work for animated series Extreme Ghostbusters in 1997 and Invasion America in 1998 occurred, keeping her name alive for younger audiences. Then nothing. Hollywood never again saw Kristy McNichol on screen, and she preferred it that way. Asked about potential comebacks by persistent reporters, Kristy would smile slightly, saying diplomatically, "Never say never." But her tone communicated everything more honestly than words. Her Hollywood chapter had closed permanently, this time on her own terms rather than the industry's. Post-acting, Kristy did something previously impossible throughout her entire life: lived for herself completely. At 39, for the first time since childhood, no scripts dictated her words, filming schedules controlled her days, or publicity obligations demanded her energy. Spotlight silence that once terrified her became profoundly therapeutic. She taught acting at a private Los Angeles school, sharing decades of hard-won experience with students who valued her honesty equally with her technical talent. Teaching maintained connections to beloved art without crushing pressure that nearly proved fatal. She frequently told students that acting wasn't ultimately about fame or awards but empathy, truth, understanding humanity's complexity. The best performances came from genuine feeling, not technique alone. Beyond teaching, Kristy lived quietly and deliberately. She spent quality time with close friends who knew her before fame, supported local charities addressing causes she cared about, and found peace in simple routines previously impossible. Yoga brought mental clarity. Regular tennis provided physical release, and filling her home with animals, especially miniature dachshunds she adored, brought daily contentment. "They keep me grounded," she once observed with genuine affection. Dogs don't care about fame or Emmy awards. 1997 brought profound loss when close friend and former partner actress Elizabeth Brooks died from cancer far too young. The loss marked her deeply but strengthened commitment to helping others facing similar battles. Cancer research and mental health organization donations followed consistently, supporting causes mattering personally rather than for publicity. Asked what she missed most about acting during rare interviews, Kristy's answer stayed consistently simple: the people. Not the fame, not the pressure or awards, just the people and connections. For her, Hollywood had been simultaneously both blessing and wound, and she was finally healing from trauma. 2012 brought one more surprise announcement. Through her publicist, Kristy announced she was gay and had lived happily with partner Marty Allen since the early 1990s, building a life together away from cameras. It wasn't calculated publicity or magazine cover story, but simple honesty after decades of protective silence. "I want to help others who feel different," she stated clearly, "and support bullied kids who need to know they're not alone." Fans finally saw the real Kristy McNichol, not the carefully crafted teen idol or Emmy-winning actress, but the authentic woman who survived, loved, and grew stronger through adversity and self-acceptance. Marty had stood beside her faithfully through everything: breakdown, empty nest departure, rebuilding years requiring patience. Together they created a peaceful home filled with laughter, loyalty, and tranquility. No cameras invading privacy, interviews demanding answers, or performances requiring masks. Just two people genuinely loving each other, living ordinary, extraordinary lives. Today at 62, Kristy McNichol still lives in Los Angeles, near the industry that once consumed her. She teaches occasionally when inspiration strikes, mentors young actors seeking honest guidance, and sometimes attends fan conventions where those who grew up watching her share what her work meant to their lives. Her estimated net worth of $7 to $8 million comes mostly from family, little darlings, and empty nest royalties continuing decades later. But money has never defined her worth or happiness. Survival defines Kristy McNichol more accurately. She once reflected with characteristic insight, "I was on the big stage between ages 8 and 30. I left show business to play my biggest part, myself." This simple yet profound statement captures her entire journey perfectly. Kristy didn't fade from failure or lack of talent. She walked away deliberately to live authentically. In a world where fame often consumes those it touches, that choice might be her greatest performance. She didn't lose herself to Hollywood, she found herself by leaving it behind. What Kristy McNichol role resonated most with you? Share your memories in the comments, and subscribe for more stories about stars who transformed Hollywood and their own lives.